You ready to go into this review?
Let's do it.
Here's our review of Combo Chibata's Ahomale.
Chimbita.
Chibita. I can't
I'm gonna
pronounce.
ban you from the Spanish language until you get the fucking Duolingo app.
But then it's just
Vincent will not be speaking in this review.
I can't read. I can't read English. I've said this before. I can't read English, let alone other languages. I never passed the 3rd grade. Okay.
All right, let's talk about this. So, Combo Chimbita's latest record, Ahomale.
Yeah. There we
Okay,
go.
cool. Combo Chimbita is a New York-based afro-caribbean inspired alternative rock band fronted by vocalist Carolina Oliveros, which is probably Carolina, thinking about it.
Yeah.
Their music is described as tropical futurism, which mixes these Afro-Caribbean influence with like indie rock, psychedelic, and punk. Ahomale is a Yoruba word that means a being or person who's able to communicate with their ancestors and receive messages. It was really interesting that this comes up within this review. I took a Latin American class this past semester, and I did a lot of research on Santeria. And that
The Pusha T track.
yes,
Yeah.
Santeria. Also the Sublime track too. We forget about this one.
Yeah.
And Santeria, like as a religion, derived from the Yoruba people, and so Ahomale would actually make this. It's like a term for like a priest or a priestess that's able to like set up altars and talk to their ancestors. It was really interesting. It's also the protagonist of the album is named Ahomale, and they possess the ability to communicate ancestral wisdom through the music of this band. So there was a Bandcamp Daily article written by Beverly Bryan.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it actually explained this album and put more of a context on it. Because first listen, I enjoyed this album a lot, but going back and seeing the Bandcamp Daily, because I like them sometimes, because sometimes they're really elegantly written, and I get insights that I never really got.
Yeah, and there's not always a lot written on these records unless people write about them like on Bandcamp.
Unless you're Milo, then you put like a 5-page essay, and it's like the greatest
Here's
description.
what I meant when I said.
Yeah. But yeah, if you want to read this, because
Sure.
I'm not allowed to talk.
All right, so it says, and start to quote, lyrics are an important part of communicating this ancestral guidance, and though Olivero sings in Spanish, she isn't concerned when performing for an audience that is mostly non-Spanish speaking, as she did on their recent tour with Parquet Courts. I conceive of music not as a language, but as energy and movement, Olivero says. When you're vibing, the people receiving that will most likely vibe with you because we're all a ball of vibrations.
So she kind
End
of,
quote.
other part of this article, she kind of describes her music not as religious, but as very spiritual. And they're not trying to make a religious movement or anything by any means, but it's more about just the energy and the atmosphere it puts off, which I think is crazy, because that's a lot what this album is to me, because as someone who's not Spanish speaking, I don't have any sense in the narrative what it is, but I have a sense of feeling and the tone and the energy that comes off of this act. I really enjoy the various kind of soundscapes that we get and the mixes of different instrumentation and genres we get, because we get that Afro-Caribbean influence, but we also get a bit of a punk influence, bit of a modern alternative influence. We also get a bit of a ska influence also on the track El Camino, I think, which is also a Black Keys album, which the song's based on. But I think it's just we're getting so many dynamics and just credible performances throughout, and it seems very passionate, just like a large ball of energy that's building throughout this entire thing. The only real complaint, I think, looking at it and just continuing listening to it, the last 3 tracks, they build up real nice, but I think it's just kind of, this album has kind of run its course at that point, but it's nothing bad. I enjoy the track. I like how on Revelation it has that like kind of synthetic bass in the background. Feels like I'm like a dubstep track almost.
Yeah.
Like Skrillex is gonna come up and do how you do. What's the song you did with Justin Bieber and Diplo? Is that who Jack
Where are
used?
you now?
Yeah, something like
I
that.
need
Yeah,
you.
something like that.
I need you. That one. Okay.
Yeah. I like how Sola is this is very like almost void of vocals that comes off, and then it builds into this very heavy, hard olome, which is fantastic. It mixes like elements of hard rock with Afro-Caribbean music. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Tavi and Brillo Mas que Oreo. Oro?
El Oro.
Aloro. I don't know. I said Oreo. It's probably because I'm hungry. I want some Oreos. I want the Game of Thrones Oreos. Those actually sound disgusting.
They're normal Oreos.
No, they have chocolate in the middle.
Really?
Yeah.
They already made those.
Yeah. But they made them from Game of Thrones,
That's
so they're
stupid.
special. But I like how the percussion is, because one thing we talked about during Angelique Kidjo's Celia Cruz cover album is that she really didn't have the element of salsa music that I really like. Is almost kind of like the mechanical percussion that's on the track, and these two tracks in particular really emphasize that mechanical, almost salsa percussion that shows up. I think it's really phenomenal. El Camino sounds like a what is it? Gwen Stefani.
No Doubt.
No Doubt track.
So does Brillo Masquero. I think that has this really has that kind of like nasally quality that Gwen Stefani has, especially in her No Doubt era, as well as El Camino, which is just a great throwback. So I actually like No Doubt.
And then Santo Forte, I think, is just a nice balance of just everything. It kind of takes a little bit more of a deeper tone, and I think it really works out well. But yeah, I think this thing's well balanced. I think the only thing in the future is I would like to see a little bit more of production shift ups. There's a lot here, but I would like to see more. Because I think how they're mixing psychedelia and afro-caribbean music really works out well, because it provides this very like colorful aura that I think it puts off, and all that energy being bounced off. I think this thing's really fun, a lot of fun to be had, and I just like the momentum it provides throughout this entire thing. I think is really nice, and the passion being provided, I think, is completely gripping.
Yeah.
Keeping in mind that all scores are futile and meaningless, I think this is an 8. I really enjoyed it.
I'm gonna say the same. It was a really solid album. I think that the meaning and the lyrics behind it make a lot of sense, especially when put into like more of an article context. Because I never would have gotten that. This is one of the, I think, few times that it's really helpful to read before you go in and listen.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed this, and I hope we get more music like this in the future. And I'm really excited to see what their career trajectory is, because I really enjoyed this.